Hey Adrian, how's it going? This is super useful commentary and feedback here. So squat. I mean, bench is absolutely flying. I think the route forward for bench is just to keep you healthy, right? Um, but this is awesome. This is really good to see. Um, so yeah, great squats are coming back, and yeah, you can feel it less on the primary day. So this is good. This is all looking really good. I'm not necessarily worried about the asymmetry. It's only a problem if it's a problem, which is a weird statement to make perhaps, but everybody's asymmetrical, so it's not necessarily possible or even useful to try to get rid of it. So don't necessarily worry about that on your end either. Don't like nocebo yourself into thinking that if you see any asymmetry, then you're going to explode. It's not necessarily a problem. I do think though that this squat comeback ties into this comment here, which I'll do kind of out of order. So I think that even with like the perfect block layout, I think it's because we're now adding more squat stress just from the fact that you're able to actually train. You're actually loading your squats up, they're getting stronger, so there's more weight on the bar. Necessarily there's more like global fatigue, and that would be the case no matter where we put squats in the week, right, relative to deadlifts. So, and the kind of slightly frustrating thing here is that this your response to the training will change quite rapidly, or like relatively rapidly in the sense of like in the space of a few months you'll see quite a big difference in how you're adapting to and dealing with the squat stress. So there probably still is no point in changing too much about what's going on, as long as we're not seeing as long as injuries are going in the right direction, and as long as general numbers going in the right direction, feelings of fatigue at this point are not enough reason to cause a change in the structure of the program, if that makes sense. I'm keeping a lookout on this, and this feedback is super important, so keep telling me how you feel. But yeah, if I was to change something now, potentially next block we get this like false positive on the change, right? That because maybe next block you adapt to the squat stimulus and you feel great anyway, but we've made this change, so it looks like I'm a genius for making the change, but maybe it's totally irrelevant. So given that there's no massive problem at this stage, I kind of want to keep things a bit consistent, and see how kind of your body continues to respond to the squatting as we have it laid out. I think this is good self-awareness on the deadlift technique. I think this is basically true, and I agree with you. I think the your technique generally does look better with heavier stuff. And again, this is one of these annoying issues that comes into play with the bendy bar, right? Because the way the bendy bar behaves is very different at light loads compared to heavy loads, whereas it's a lot more consistent with a stiff bar. And in terms of like additional cues, it's really hard to prescribe. I think like if you're struggling to feel big toe, or like it's not big toe literally, it's big toe knuckle, right? So you don't want your actual big toe to be pressed down into the ground, it's the knuckle of the big toe. If you're struggling to get that, then I think make sure that you're able to do like this tempo movement, right, with the warm-ups and the light stuff. And if you still are struggling to feel the position and kind of the big toe and the balance and the feet feel good, then it's time to kind of like gently tweak the foot angle, and things like that. But again, I think, just to stress this point again, I think that your technique will probably change quite dramatically, especially with the lighter stuff, if you're able to be really strict with the execution and like, so, you know, let's have this conversation again, basically, when you can show me a really nice tempo from the floor on like a warm up, like 170 kilos, you know, okay, 140 kilos. If you can control that tempo on the concentric and like have a really slow break from the floor, not lose any shape or position through your back, your hips, your knees, etc. Then if you still tell me like, oh, it doesn't feel great, that's more of an interesting sign that something's wrong. I think there's probably a bunch of like technical learning to happen still, because you can't do, I mean, maybe I'll be wrong, maybe you'll show me the videos today. But yeah, I think there's a bunch of technical learning that can happen by just figuring out how to control and own all of the positions between floor and like, you know, the first 6 inches, just at a nice slow tempo. Yes, I will. Yeah, we can do incline bench. That's fine. Dips, I don't hate them. It's just that they tend to like explode people. But the best way of kind of going forwards here is for you to try them, but try them with like doing 5 reps, 6 reps body weight, maybe for a few sets next week, and then let me know how you feel. And literally don't do any more than that. I've run this experiment before with people, and they felt like, oh, it's fine, and did like body weight dips to failure, and then they got injured, like literally. Or like put some like load on the, you know, put a dipping belt on and you know, did it with 20, 30 kilos or whatever. Please don't do that. I'm happy to experiment with dips, but we need to start like actual baby steps to see how your shoulders respond. So if you're happy and you're kind of keen to experiment, try that next week. Let me know how you do. So like take a video of it so we can kind of see what's going on. Cool. Let's get into these videos. Yeah, super nice. Yeah. Squat's looking like really, like honestly fantastic. I mean, that's pretty comfy. Yeah, that's a bench that's looking particularly nice. Maybe even slightly undershot, honestly. Yeah, so for reference, it might be that you need to like turn your feet out very slightly more than you have them. That might give you a bit more of this big toe knuckle sensation. I mean, these kind of look fine. I can't see, particularly from this angle, bit rush from the floor actually, I'd say there. So as in like your hips come up a little bit too fast compared to your shoulders. So there's a little bit of that stuff happening. It's not horrific. I think like in general, I'm just going to pause here because we're going to look at the asymmetry in your back. It might be worth, I don't know if you have access to a car, but it might be worth investigating how feasible it is for you to get some time training in a gym with a stiff bar. I know I keep hammering this point, but it is really relevant, particularly for the sumo. So even if you went on the primary sumo day, it would be great for your sort of like continued progress in powerlifting, because it would be there's only so much cueing and like technical work we can be looking at with this bendy bar. It really is so different. So give it a thought. I don't know what's near you in terms of powerlifting gyms, but it's worth a look. So some of this here as well is like not necessarily a massive difference in where your spine is. it's like rib cage shape, and where your shoulder blades end up going, I don't think your spine is shaped like this. You know, there's definitely some rotation through here, but this is exacerbated by rib cage shape. So this is okay. This goddamn like play button is right in the way. There is definitely rotation here. No, I see this too. So like your hips are facing like, that's a terrible arrow. Your hips are like facing this way, right? You see yourself opening up this way, and then this knee is kind of coming out further this way. Yeah. So, but what this is the classic pattern, right? Where you are extended through this part of your low back. I'm guessing this is going to be the bit of your low back that you're like feeling pain. So this is extended. This bit of your glute is really tight as well. So you're kind of like pushed this way. Your pelvis is like, so if we're looking, this is your pelvis, and we're looking top down, your pelvis is turning over here. This is all just super classic stuff. So yeah, we will continue to look at this stuff. I'll take a look at the drills that you're doing now and maybe give you some suggestions, some other stuff to try. But this is basically such a classic pattern. I've got this, like everyone that I work with has this pattern. It just appears in varying degrees and has varying impacts on people. This is the 162. You're right. If anything, that was quicker. Yeah, happy with bench. Bench is looking awesome. Still would say this is like wedging off the floor. Actually, that second rep was a little bit better. But yeah, still it needs to be a bit more of that tempo. So this is the, yeah. Yeah, this is just like sort of like deep. It's not just a rector, right? So a rector would be, you set like the very surface here. It's probably like something a bit deeper. It's just everything sort of responsible here for like extending your lower back on this side and controlling that position, because it introduces, like, if you extend on one side more than the other, you can imagine there's some rotation through the spine that's introduced. So there's some stabilization that needs to happen as a result of that. So it's just all the muscles kind of like freaking out and trying to stabilize that slightly wonky position. I will have a think about some drills. Cool. Let's take a look how we're doing with this. Better. Just make sure that you are. So okay, subtle point here, but your inhale is resulting in your ribs coming up a ton. We need you to be in that really nice exhaled position as you're doing the chop. Excuse me. And we never really want to see your ribs come up. So I want to see like almost a gentle round. This is much better, by the way, just to address that point. But I almost want to see you kind of like not crunching too much, but I want to see a little bit of rounding through here. Just a little bit more than that. And I want to see clear signs that like these ribs are like really, really exhaled. So take the time to make sure that's happening. So it's like you're in this position and you go as you reach, and reach a bit more. So you're kind of reaching this way a lot. Reach a bit more kind of like towards the camera, basically, in this position. Yeah, more or less like directly at the camera. Try to reach, so you're over your right foot, but like punched forwards as well. And then getting that nice like exhale. And then you pretty much crack this one. This is much, much better. But yeah, you're a little bit kind of like slightly extended almost through here, like your lower ribs are being pushed forwards this way, slightly impeding the benefit of the drill. But yeah, generally much better. Let's see how we're doing. Yeah, it's much better. Angles are there. You can see here that you're doing a better job of like getting a little bit of rounding through your back there, which is perfect. And then the angle of your upper arm is good, so that's great. This looks better now. But yeah, same again, because I can't exactly see. Just making sure that you are getting this bit of your rib cage to be exhaled and like squeezed up. Like, so imagine if your ribs kind of look like this. That's a really horrible way of describing it, and I can't move my hand like this. But like, so let me just try and draw it. So let's say like heads here. Let's just draw one side of your rib cage, so it kind of like looks kind of like that, right? So that's at rest. What we want to see is like it basically move this way, let's say. It also kind of wants to move down in the plane of the screen. If that makes sense. So depression, the biomechanical movement of depression is something moving down relative to your heart, and then internal rotation is like this. So we need your ribs to kind of be depressed and internally rotated. I hope that diagram kind of loosely made sense. But yeah, cool stuff. So I think, I did want to say, I think we need to give it a bit more time, but and we need to be sensitive to some of these like fatigue factors that we're discussing. But I think it'll be useful to keep an eye on maybe extending the blocks to 5 weeks again. But we'll see how that goes. I think we need to see how you adapt to this like unfurling picture with the squats. I have a feeling that it will be a bad idea to give you 5 weeks in the short term anyway. But we'll see how we do. Anyway, yeah, really good stuff. Awesome to see the PBs rolling in. Hopefully we can see that happening with squats pretty soon. And yeah, hopefully this back issue clears up, and I'll send you a drill. Maybe not this evening because I'm running out of time a bit, but I'll remember. And if I forget, give me a poke this week to send you this drill. Alright man, cheers.